Welcome to the Nighty Night Circus Winter Snowflake Circus Tent, a magical place where sleepy animals and gentle snowflakes create the coziest bedtime story for children. Tonight, the circus doesn't roar with noise or dazzle with bright lights. Instead, it glows softly under the winter moon, wrapped in a blanket of snow. The tents sparkle like frosted sugar, the air is crisp and cool, and everything feels calm and safe. Inside the big circus tent, the animals are not practicing tricks or showing off their talents. They are preparing for sleep. The lion stretches his paws and lets out a giant, sleepy yawn that echoes like a warm hug. The elephant rocks slowly side to side, like a cradle swaying to a lullaby. Tiny mice snuggle into little pouches of hay, while owls close their eyes and hide their heads beneath their wings. Even the clowns and jugglers tiptoe quietly, carrying soft blankets instead of juggling balls. This is not just any circus. It's a bedtime circus, where every performer and every animal drifts into dreams under a snowy sky. As your child listens, they too will feel the peaceful hush of winter night, and drift into their own magical sleep. Crescent moon sparkles. The snowy circus tent. The night was quiet, and soft snowflakes floated down from the sky like tiny feathers. At the edge of the forest stood the Nighty Night Circus, its tall striped tent glowing under the pale winter moon. Instead of the usual music and cheers of a circus, there was only the sound of the wind, whispering gently through the ropes and flags. Inside the tent, everything looked magical. Strings of lanterns glowed like stars, casting a golden light on the snowy ground. The air was calm, filled with the soft crackle of a fire burning in a small stove at the center. The animals were gathering one by one, not for a show, but for something much more special: bedtime. The lion padded in first, his breath puffing little clouds into the chilly air. He gave a long, slow yawn that made the mice giggle sleepily. Soon after came the elephant, her big ears swaying as she rocked from side to side, humming a tune that sounded like a lullaby. One by one, all the circus animals arrived, their eyes half closed, ready to drift into dreams. Tonight, the circus would not perform tricks. Tonight, it would dream together. Crescent moon sparkles. The gentle ringmaster. The circus tent door opened with a soft creak, letting in a swirl of snowflakes. In stepped the ringmaster, not in his usual bright red coat and tall hat, but in a cozy woolen cloak. His cheeks were rosy from the winter air, and his smile was as warm as the fire glowing in the stove. He looked around at his sleepy circus family and nodded gently. "No shows tonight, my friends," he whispered. "Tonight is for rest, for dreams, and for quiet magic." The animals gathered closer, their eyes shining in the golden light. The lion stretched again, resting his head on his paws. The elephant swayed gently as if rocking an invisible cradle. Even the owls, usually awake at night, blinked slowly, fighting against the calm weight of sleep. The ringmaster walked to the center of the tent and clapped his hands softly, like a lullaby's rhythm. "We will dream together tonight," he said, "and the stars above will be our audience." Snow continued to drift outside, covering the circus grounds in a blanket of white. Inside, warmth and comfort spread, and the animals felt safe, as if the night itself was tucking them into bed. Snowflake sparkles. The blanket of stars. Above the circus tent, the night sky shimmered like a giant velvet blanket sprinkled with diamonds. The stars twinkled softly, as if they too were ready to close their eyes and dream. The moon hung low and round, glowing like a lantern to guide the animals into slumber. Inside, the ringmaster carefully unfolded a giant patchwork quilt. It wasn't an ordinary blanket, it was made from tiny pieces of cloth collected from every journey the circus had ever taken. Golden silks from summer shows, deep blues from autumn nights, and soft snowy whites stitched just for winter. He spread it gently over the floor, and the animals snuggled close upon it. The mice curled up in little corners of the quilt, while the lion rested right in the middle, purring softly like a giant kitten. The elephant tucked her trunk under the fabric, sighing with comfort. Even the owls fluttered down from their perch and nestled into the folds, closing their sleepy eyes. The quilt glowed faintly, as though the stars above had sewn their light into its threads. With every breath, the animals felt the warmth of dreams wrap around them, as the circus transformed into a nest of peaceful rest. Crescent moon sparkles. The sleepy melody. The circus was hushed, the air filled with the soft rustling of animals settling in. Then, a gentle sound began to drift through the tent. It was the elephant, humming a lullaby so slow and sweet that even the snow outside seemed to pause and listen. Her voice was deep and warm, like a river moving quietly beneath frozen banks. The mice sighed happily, curling closer together, their tiny ears twitching to the tune. The owls lowered their heads, their wings folding tightly as their eyelids grew heavy. Even the lion, proud and strong, purred along with the melody, his chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. The ringmaster smiled and took out a small music box from his pocket. He wound it gently, and soon the tinkling notes joined the elephant's hum, weaving together like a soft winter breeze. The sound filled every corner of the tent, turning it into a cradle for dreams. Snowflakes tapped against the canvas roof, keeping time with the lullaby. The animals, safe and warm under the glowing quilt, felt themselves drifting. One by one, their eyes closed, and the melody carried them toward a night full of gentle dreams. Snowflake crescent moon. The lantern glow. As the music box chimed softly, the ringmaster lit a row of tiny lanterns that hung inside the tent. Each lantern glowed with a different color: soft gold, pale blue, gentle pink, and snowy white. The colors shimmered against the canvas walls, painting the inside of the circus like a winter rainbow. The mice squeaked happily as they watched the lights dance. To them, it looked as if the stars had come down from the sky to join them. The lion blinked slowly, the golden lantern reflecting in his sleepy eyes. The elephant stretched her trunk to one of the pale blue lights, and for a moment, the glow wrapped around her like a comforting hug. The owls perched quietly near the lanterns, their feathers catching the soft glow. They blinked once, twice, and then tucked their heads under their wings again. Even the snow outside seemed to shine brighter, as though the whole world wanted to share in the circus's peaceful glow. The ringmaster whispered, "These lanterns will guide your dreams, my friends. Wherever you wander tonight, you'll always find your way back to this warm tent." And with that promise, the circus grew even cozier, bathed in colors of calm. Snowflake sparkles. The Snowflake Parade. Just as the animals began to drift deeper into their dreams, something magical happened outside the tent. The wind carried a flurry of snowflakes that didn't fall in a rush. They floated gently, slowly, as if they were marching in a sleepy parade. Through the small gaps in the tent's canvas, the animals could see the snowflakes twinkling like tiny dancers. Each one seemed to have its own glow, spinning and swirling in the cold night air. The mice peeked out with wide eyes, whispering to each other that the snowflakes were putting on a show just for them. The lion lifted his head for a moment, watching the delicate patterns drift down. He gave a soft, rumbling sigh, as though he too was enchanted by their graceful steps. The elephant flapped her ears gently, rocking to the rhythm of the snow's slow descent. Even the owls, half asleep, opened one eye to watch the glittering parade float past. The ringmaster chuckled quietly. "Every night, the world has its own circus," he whispered. "Tonight, it's the snowflakes' turn to perform." And with that, the sleepy animals nestled back down, carrying the dance of the snowflakes into their dreams. Crescent moon sparkles. The whispering wind. As the snowflake parade drifted by, a gentle wind swept around the circus tent. It didn't howl or roar, it whispered, soft and low, like a secret lullaby only the night could hear. The canvas flaps of the tent swayed ever so slightly, making a sound like the turning pages of a bedtime storybook. The mice huddled together and giggled sleepily. "The wind is telling us a story," one of them squeaked. The lion's ears twitched, and he gave a slow nod as if he understood every word. The elephant swayed with the breeze, her eyes half closed, feeling the wind's rhythm cradle her into peace. The ringmaster listened closely too. To him, the wind spoke of distant places the circus had once traveled, fields of golden summer, autumn leaves falling like fire, and springtime blossoms that smelled of sweetness. Now, in winter's embrace, the wind reminded them that every season had its own magic. Snowflakes tapped lightly against the tent, carried by the wind's soft voice. The animals sighed with contentment, letting the whispers guide their hearts toward dreams. It felt as if the whole world was humming them to sleep, wrapping them in a blanket of gentle sound. Snowflake Crescent Moon. The cozy nest. Inside the glowing circus tent, the quilt spread across the floor had become softer and warmer with every passing moment. It was as though the fabric itself was alive, weaving comfort into every stitch. The animals shuffled closer together, forming a circle of warmth. The mice built a tiny nest of hay at the corner of the quilt, curling into a ball no bigger than a snowflake. The owls fluffed up their feathers, settling like pillows against each other. The elephant tucked her trunk gently around the smallest animals, protecting them like a guardian of dreams. The lion stretched out one great paw, and a mouse bravely snuggled against it, feeling safe in the gentle rhythm of his purrs. The ringmaster knelt beside them, adjusting the edges of the quilt to make sure everyone was covered. "Every circus has a stage," he whispered, "and tonight, our stage is this cozy nest of dreams." The lanterns flickered softly above, their colors glowing like fireflies. The snow outside fell in silence, wrapping the world in stillness. Inside, the animals felt as if they were tucked inside the heart of winter itself, a nest of light, warmth, and peace. Snowflake Crescent Moon sparkles. The gentle fire. At the center of the tent, the little stove crackled softly. Its flames were small, but they glowed with a steady warmth, painting golden patterns across the quilt and the animal's fur. The fire did not roar, it whispered, just like the wind outside. Each spark seemed to rise slowly, like a tiny star floating upward before fading into the air. The mice crept closer, their whiskers twitching with delight at the cozy heat. The elephant stretched her trunk toward the fire, stopping just short to feel its gentle glow. The lion rolled onto his side, his mane catching the light and shining like threads of gold. Even the owls, usually shy of flames, tilted their heads as though mesmerized by the fire's dance. The ringmaster placed a small pot on the stove. Inside, warm milk bubbled quietly, filling the tent with a sweet, comforting scent. "This fire is our hearth," he said softly, "a tiny sun to keep us safe in the night." Outside, snowflakes piled higher and higher, but inside the circus tent, the fire wrapped everyone in its glow. The warmth soothed them, as if each flicker of flame whispered, "Rest now. You are home." Snowflake Fire Crescent Moon. The cup of warm milk. The soft bubbling from the pot filled the tent with a sweet, creamy smell. The animals' noses twitched, and their sleepy eyes brightened just a little. The ringmaster carefully poured the warm milk into tiny cups and bowls, making sure each friend had their share. The mice held their cups with both tiny paws, sipping carefully so as not to spill. Their whiskers quivered with joy as the warmth spread through their bellies. The owls dipped their beaks into shallow bowls, their feathers fluffing in delight. The elephant curled her trunk gently around a larger cup, blowing softly to cool it before taking a slow sip. The lion, with his big paws, couldn't quite manage the cup, so the ringmaster held it steady for him. The lion purred gratefully as the warm milk eased him deeper into calm. "This is the circus's bedtime treat," whispered the ringmaster. "Not popcorn or candy, but something soft and soothing to carry us into dreams." The animals finished their drinks, their eyes growing heavy once again. They nestled back into the quilt, warm milk in their bellies, and felt as though the night itself had kissed them goodnight. Crescent moon glass of milk sparkles. The silent applause. The circus was quieter than ever, but in the stillness, something magical could be felt. It was as if the night itself was clapping softly, a silent applause for the animals who had put on the sweetest show of all, falling gently into sleep. The mice curled up tighter in their hay nest, their tiny paws twitching as if they were already dreaming of playful adventures. The owls ruffled their feathers once, then tucked their heads beneath their wings. The elephant leaned against the quilt's edge, her trunk resting like a ribbon across the floor, breathing slowly and deeply. The lion gave one last stretch, his mane glowing faintly in the lantern light, before resting his great head upon his paws. The ringmaster looked around at his peaceful circus family. He tipped his hat, not in a grand gesture, but in a tender one. "Bravo, my friends," he whispered. "The quietest performance is sometimes the most beautiful." Outside, the snow kept falling in perfect silence, as if the stars and snowflakes were joining in that invisible applause. Inside, the animals drifted deeper, their dreams sparkling like the lantern light above them. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The dream curtain. As the lanterns flickered softly and the fire hummed low, the ringmaster reached for a special curtain tucked away in a wooden chest. It wasn't like the heavy red curtain used for circus shows. It was light, silvery, and almost see-through, like moonlight woven into cloth. He gently draped the curtain across the inside of the tent. The fabric shimmered with tiny sparkles, and as it fell into place, the whole circus seemed to grow quieter, softer, as though wrapped inside a dream. The air felt hushed, as if time itself was slowing down just for them. The mice peeked out from under the quilt and gasped at the glittering glow. The owls blinked sleepily, watching stars appear within the curtain's folds. The elephant gave a soft sigh, her trunk curling contentedly. The lion yawned so widely that the lantern swayed, then nestled back into the warmth of his mane. "This," the ringmaster whispered, "is the dream curtain. Once it is drawn, dreams will find their way to you more easily, gentle as falling snow." The animals snuggled deeper, their eyelids heavy. Behind the curtain of silver light, the world outside faded, leaving only peace, warmth, and the promise of sweet dreams. Crescent moon sparkles snowflake. The snowy footprints. Outside the tent, the snowfall had thickened, covering the ground in a soft, white blanket. The circus wagons, the pathways, even the tall poles of the tent were now dressed in winter's coat. But if anyone had looked closely, they would have seen little trails of footprints weaving through the snow. Tiny bird prints danced near the trees, while rabbit tracks hopped in playful zigzags. Even a curious fox had padded quietly by, leaving a neat trail before disappearing back into the forest. The snow told a story of all the visitors who had come close, peeked at the glowing tent, and then moved along, careful not to disturb the peace inside. The mice, before drifting off, dreamed they were chasing those snowy footprints, following the rabbits through sparkling fields. The owls imagined gliding silently above, their wings brushing the frosty air. The lion dreamed of padding softly alongside the fox, each paw sinking into the snow with no sound at all. Inside, the ringmaster smiled, for he knew, the snow was not just cold and quiet, it was alive, painting gentle stories across the world. And tonight, those snowy stories would slip softly into the circus dreams. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The moon as a spotlight. High above the snowy circus, the moon shone brighter than ever. Round and glowing, it looked like a spotlight cast just for the Nighty Night circus. But unlike the bright lights of a performance, this light was soft and silvery, made to soothe rather than dazzle. The moonbeam slipped gently through the cracks of the tent, falling across the quilt like ribbons of silver. The lion's mane shimmered faintly in its glow, while the elephant's skin gleamed as though dusted with starlight. The mice looked so tiny under the moonlight that they seemed like glowing snowflakes themselves. The owls opened their eyes for a moment, blinking slowly at the silvery glow. They hooted once, softly, as if greeting an old friend, then tucked their heads back under their wings. The ringmaster looked up at the moon through a small flap in the canvas and tipped his hat politely. "Thank you," he whispered, "for watching over us." The moon, high and gentle, seemed to nod back, wrapping the circus in its calming light. Beneath its glow, the animals felt safe, as though a guardian of dreams was shining upon them. Crescent moon sparkles snowflake. The circus of dreams. As the moonlight spread softly across the tent, the animals drifted deeper into slumber. But inside their dreams, something magical unfolded, a circus unlike any other. In this dream circus, there were no heavy ropes or noisy drums. Instead, the air shimmered with glowing snowflakes that turned into tiny acrobats, leaping and twirling with ease. The mice found themselves balancing on candy cane beams, their whiskers twitching as the crowd of stars cheered silently. The elephant dreamed she was gently lifting clouds instead of weights, stacking them high to make a staircase to the stars. The lion, with his golden mane, performed not with a roar, but with a deep purr that made the whole dreamland hum like a lullaby. The owl soared above, carrying ribbons of silver light, trailing them across the sky like dream painters. The ringmaster was there too, though his voice was softer than ever. "This," he whispered, "is the circus of dreams, where every heart performs with peace and joy." Under the snowy tent of their imagination, the animals felt lighter than air. Each dream blended into the next, weaving a show that needed no applause, only the silence of sleep. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The gentle audience. In the dream circus, the animals noticed something extraordinary. The seats around the glowing ring were not empty, they were filled with the gentlest audience anyone could imagine. Snowflakes drifted down and settled in rows, each one sparkling like a tiny diamond. They did not clap or cheer loudly. Instead, they shimmered quietly, glowing brighter whenever they felt joy. The stars, too, leaned closer from the sky, twinkling softly, as though winking with approval. The mice twirled across the stage, their tiny paws leaving trails of starlight. The snowflake audience sparkled a little brighter. The elephant lifted a cloud high into the air, and the stars above blinked in delight. The lion rolled gracefully across the ring, his mane glowing like a crown, and the whole dreamland hummed with warmth. The owls glided in wide circles, dropping little feathers that turned into glowing lanterns for the crowd. No sound disturbed the show, only the soft music of the night, carried on dream winds. The ringmaster bowed deeply. "The kindest audience is one that listens with the heart," he said, and every snowflake shimmered as though agreeing. The circus glowed, not with noise, but with love. Crescent moon snowflake sparkles. The acrobats of snow. In the dream circus, the snow itself decided to join the show. From the sky above, snowflakes drifted down, but instead of falling straight to the ground, they danced and twirled like graceful acrobats. Some spun in slow circles, sparkling as they turned. Others leapt high into the air, flipping gently before gliding back down. A few formed chains, holding onto each other as they swayed back and forth like trapeze performers. Their movements were so delicate that the whole tent seemed to breathe with them. The mice clapped their tiny paws in wonder. The elephant lifted her trunk high, as if to cheer them on. The lion purred deeply, his eyes glowing with calm pride. The owls tilted their heads, following every swirl and twist of the glittering snow acrobats. The ringmaster raised his hand and whispered, "Bravo." His voice was soft, but it carried through the tent like music, and the snowflakes sparkled brighter in response. The acrobats of snow performed until the dream sky was filled with glistening trails of silver light, each one a promise of gentle rest. And as they spun, the animals drifted deeper into the sweetest dreams. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The juggling stars. As the snowflake acrobats twirled gracefully, the night sky decided to join in the fun. The stars above, bright and patient, began to juggle themselves across the dream circus. One by one, golden stars floated down, not to the ground, but into the ringmaster's hands. He tossed them gently into the air, and instead of falling, they hovered, spinning in perfect circles. Some zipped back up to the heavens, while others bounced between the lion's paws and the elephant's trunk. The mice squeaked in delight as a tiny star rolled near them like a glowing marble. The owls swooped carefully, catching a star on the tip of their wings before letting it drift back into the sky. The whole tent glittered with moving lights, as though a galaxy had tumbled inside just to play. The ringmaster laughed softly, his voice as warm as the glowing quilt. "Stars are the quietest jugglers," he whispered. "They shine not for applause, but simply to light the way." Above, the night sky twinkled brighter, proud of its playful gift. The circus animals, glowing in starlight, felt their dreams stretch wider, reaching all the way to the heavens. Crescent moon sparkles snowflake. The tightrope of clouds. High above the dream circus, a silver ribbon stretched across the sky. It wasn't rope or wire, it was a soft strip of cloud, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The snowflakes whispered, "The tightrope is ready." The mice were the first to climb. With tiny paws and twitching whiskers, they balanced carefully, one step after another, their tails swaying like balancing sticks. The owls followed, gliding just above, keeping watch in case anyone wobbled. The elephant stepped next, her giant feet surprisingly gentle on the cloud. With every step, the cloud bounced, but it never broke. The lion padded behind her, his mane brushing against the silver mist, his paws steady and calm. The ringmaster watched proudly from below. "The tightrope of clouds," he whispered, "is the path between waking and dreaming. Cross it slowly, and you'll find yourself deeper in rest." The animals moved gracefully, the stars above twinkling encouragement. Each step carried them further into dreamland, where everything was soft, safe, and endless. When they reached the other side, the cloud dissolved into sparkles, wrapping the circus in shimmering peace. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The carousel of dreams. At the heart of the dream circus, something new appeared, a glowing carousel, slowly turning in the snowlit air. It wasn't made of wood or painted horses. Instead, it was built from moonlight and spun by the gentle wind. Each animal saw a place waiting for them. The mice found tiny silver carriages shaped like acorns, just their size. The owls perched on glowing branches that rose and dipped with the carousel's motion. The elephant stepped onto a grand seat made of clouds, soft and wide, while the lion climbed onto a glowing golden sun, which lifted him gently as it turned. The ringmaster took no seat. Instead, he stood at the center, one hand on the glowing pole, keeping the carousel steady as it moved. "This ride is not for speed," he said softly. It is for drifting, drifting deeper into dreams. Round and round the carousel turned, slower than a lullaby's rhythm. The lights shimmered, painting soft patterns on the tent walls. The animals, rocked gently by its motion, felt their breaths grow slower, their hearts calmer. With each turn, they slipped further from waking, carried by the carousel into a night of endless wonder. Snowflake, carousel horse, crescent moon. The cotton candy clouds. As the carousel of dreams slowed to a gentle stop, the tent filled with the scent of something sweet. Floating down from the sky came clouds so soft and fluffy they looked like cotton candy spun from starlight. The mice scrambled eagerly, nibbling tiny pieces that melted on their tongues like sugar snow. The owls pecked gently, savoring the sweetness before tucking their heads back under their wings. The elephant lifted a great swirl of cloud with her trunk, giggling softly as it dissolved into sweetness. The lion took a slow, careful bite, his mane shimmering with bits of glittering sugar. The ringmaster plucked a small piece of the glowing cotton candy and held it up. "These are dream clouds," he whispered. "They taste of comfort, of warmth, of everything you love most." The animals sighed happily as the sugary mist melted into their dreams. Their bellies felt full, but not heavy, just content. Outside, the snow drifted slower, as if even the winter night had grown sleepy. Wrapped in the taste of soft sweetness, the circus sank deeper into calm, every creature glowing as though kissed by starlight. Snowflake, crescent moon, sparkles. The gentle clowns. In the dream circus, two clowns appeared, not noisy or silly, but gentle and kind. Their faces were painted not with bright colors, but with soft shades of silver and pale blue, glowing like moonlight on snow. Instead of juggling loudly, they balanced snowballs that never melted, tossing them slowly from hand to hand. Each snowball left behind a sparkling trail, like little comets drifting through the air. The mice clapped softly, their eyes wide with wonder. The owls hooted once, approving of the clown's quiet grace. The elephant giggled when one clown gently placed a snowball on the tip of her trunk, letting it roll back and forth. The lion gave a soft rumbling purr as the other clown bowed low, placing a glowing snowflake crown upon his mane. The ringmaster smiled warmly. "Even clowns," he whispered, "can be as quiet as dreams, bringing joy not with noise, but with kindness." The clowns blew soft kisses of snow into the air, and each flake that drifted down felt like a lullaby. The circus grew even cozier, wrapped in the laughter of silence. And so, with hearts lighter than snow, the animals drifted deeper into rest. Snowflake, clownface, crescent moon, sparkles. The ice crystal mirrors. At the edge of the dream circus, tall mirrors began to appear. But these were not ordinary mirrors of glass. They were made of pure ice, carved into smooth, shining shapes that glowed under the lantern light. When the mice peeked into the mirrors, they didn't see themselves as tiny creatures. Instead, they saw brave little adventurers, marching proudly through snowy forests. The owls looked into the icy glass and saw themselves soaring higher than ever, wings stretching into starlit skies. The elephant stepped close and gasped softly. Her reflection showed her carrying the moon gently in her trunk. The lion's mirror gleamed with an image of him lying peacefully among the stars, his mane glowing like a crown of light. The ringmaster stood before the largest mirror. Instead of his own face, he saw all the animals gathered safely together, glowing with happiness. He smiled. "These mirrors do not show who you are," he whispered, "but who you dream of becoming." The ice crystals shimmered once more, then slowly melted away into the air like mist, leaving only warmth in their place. The animals, filled with quiet joy, curled back into the quilt, carrying their shining reflections into sleep. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The snowflake lanterns. As the night deepened, the circus tent began to glow with tiny flickers of light. Dozens of lanterns appeared, but these lanterns weren't made of glass or fire. They were delicate snowflakes, each one shining from within like a tiny star. The mice scurried beneath them, chasing the patterns of light on the snowy floor. The owls perched quietly, watching the lanterns drift slowly downward as if floating on an invisible breeze. The elephant lifted her trunk, gently guiding a lantern closer so she could admire its sparkle. The lion sat still, eyes half closed, as the soft light washed over his golden mane. The ringmaster whispered, "Every snowflake lantern holds a dream, waiting to be carried into the night." He plucked one from the air and placed it gently in the palm of the smallest mouse. The lantern glowed brighter, as if happy to be held. One by one, the animals received their own lantern. Each glow was unique, soft, and calming, like a lullaby written just for them. The tent shimmered with warm, snowy light, and for a moment it felt as though the entire circus had become a sky full of stars. Wrapped in lantern light, the animals drifted further into peace. Snowflake sparkles crescent moon. The blanket of falling stars. The lanterns slowly faded, and in their place came something even more magical, a blanket woven from falling stars. Tiny streaks of silver drifted down from the sky, soft and slow, settling gently over the circus. The mice huddled together as a piece of the starlit blanket wrapped around them, keeping them warm like a glowing nest. The owls spread their wings wide, letting the blanket drape over their feathers until they looked like shimmering guardians of the night. The elephant sighed with joy as a great fold of the blanket curled around her, soft as the clouds she once walked across. The lion stretched out lazily, his mane glowing brighter as the stars nestled against him. The ringmaster watched as the starlight covered every corner of the circus. He placed his hand on the glowing fabric and whispered, "This is the blanket that dreams are stitched from. Rest under it, and the night will protect you." The blanket shimmered faintly, pulsing like a gentle heartbeat. The animals, cozy and safe, felt their eyes grow heavier. Wrapped in the warmth of a starry quilt, the whole circus seemed to breathe as one, swaying softly into dream. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The silent parade. The circus grew so calm that even the snow outside seemed to pause. Then, without a sound, a gentle parade began. But unlike other parades with music and trumpets, this one moved in silence, as though it were made entirely of dreams. The mice marched at the front, carrying tiny flags shaped like snowflakes. Their little paws made no sound, only leaving delicate prints on the glowing floor. Behind them, the owls glided with their wings spread wide, creating soft gusts of air that felt like whispers. The elephant followed, each step slow and careful, her trunk swaying like a ribbon. The lion padded just beside her, his golden mane glowing faintly under the lantern light. At the very end walked the ringmaster, his long coat trailing like a shadow of the night itself. He raised no baton, gave no commands, he only smiled as the animals moved in harmony. The parade circled the tent once, twice, and then dissolved into stillness again. It was not meant to entertain but to soothe, a reminder that even in silence, there is beauty. The animals, now even more peaceful, curled closer together, their dreams flowing like a quiet parade of stars. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The moonlit trapeze. High above the circus, the silken ropes began to glow. They shimmered like silver threads pulled straight from the moon itself. The trapeze was ready, but tonight, it wasn't for daring leaps or fast spins. It was for something gentler, slower, almost like a lullaby in the air. The owls went first, gliding from one glowing bar to the next, their wings spreading like sails of light. The mice clung together, swinging in small arcs, squeaking softly as the ropes carried them back and forth like a cradle. The elephant stepped carefully onto a wide moonlit swing made just for her. It held her weight as if she were light as a snowflake. The lion followed, leaping gracefully onto a trapeze that glowed golden, swaying gently beneath him. The ringmaster lifted his hat, watching with pride. The trapeze of the moon, he whispered, teaches us not to fear falling, for in dreams, we are always held. The animals swayed higher, then lower, their motions slow and steady, like rocking boats on a starry sea. The glow from the ropes drifted down over the circus, wrapping everyone in silver calm. One by one, their eyes closed, still swinging softly in their dreams. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The whispering snowdrifts. Outside the circus tent, the snow had gathered into soft, tall drifts, glowing faintly beneath the winter moon. But these snowdrifts were not silent. They whispered. The mice crept close, their ears twitching as they listened. The snow told them stories of fields where the grass would grow again in spring, and of tiny burrows safe beneath the earth. The owls leaned down, hearing tales of long journeys across the skies, where stars guided every wing beat. The elephant rested her trunk against the snowdrift, and it hummed softly, like a lullaby sung by the earth itself. The lion pressed his paw into the glowing mound, and the snow whispered of courage, of warmth, of golden mornings yet to come. The ringmaster placed his hand upon the snow. He closed his eyes and smiled. "The snow remembers everything," he said gently. "And it shares only the calmest memories when the night is ready for rest." The whispers grew softer, fading into hushes, until they became no more than the sound of steady breathing. Wrapped in the snow's quiet promises, the animals felt themselves sink deeper, as though the drifts were tucking them into dream. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The crystal music box. At the center of the circus, a small pedestal rose from the snowy ground. On top of it sat a music box made of pure crystal, glowing faintly with the colors of dawn. The ringmaster wound its silver key, and at once, the box began to play. But it was not a loud or cheerful tune, it was a soft, slow melody, like snow falling in rhythm with a heartbeat. The mice curled up in a circle, their tiny bodies swaying to the gentle notes. The owls closed their eyes, feathers fluffing as the music wrapped around them like a nest of sound. The elephant lay down with a sigh, her ears twitching softly in time with the lullaby. The lion lowered his head onto his paws, his golden mane shimmering faintly as though the music itself had brushed against it. The crystal box spun slowly, and with each turn, sparkling images floated into the air, snowy forests, glowing stars, and quiet rivers of silver light. The ringmaster whispered, "This melody is stitched from dreams. Listen closely, and it will carry you to the softest sleep." The music lingered like a warm breath, pulling every creature deeper into slumber. Snowflake musical notes, crescent moon sparkles. The frozen fountain. Near the edge of the circus, a fountain appeared, though no water flowed from it. Instead, it shimmered with frozen streams, frozen mid-splash, like glass caught in motion. Moonlight danced across its icy curves, scattering soft beams all around. The mice scampered to the fountain's edge, touching the crystal ice with their tiny paws. To their surprise, the frozen water sang softly, each touch making a note like a bell. The owls tilted their heads, listening as the fountain's frozen droplets rang out like gentle chimes. The elephant placed her trunk against the ice, and a deep, calming hum resonated through the air. The lion pawed the edge, and a warm golden glow spread beneath his touch, lighting up the frozen fountain like a lantern in the snow. The ringmaster bowed his head. "This is the fountain of stillness," he murmured. "Even when frozen, it flows inside the dream. And those who listen will hear the song of peace." The animals sat quietly, letting the icy music wash over them. The fountain glimmered brighter, then softer, until it matched the rhythm of their breathing, slow, steady, and ready for sleep. Snowflake droplet crescent moon sparkles. The gentle polar bears. From the snowy shadows at the edge of the circus, two great polar bears appeared. Their fur glowed faintly, white as the falling snow, and their paws left shimmering prints wherever they walked. The mice froze for a moment, but soon realized the bears' eyes were kind, filled not with fierceness but with warmth. The owls fluttered down to perch on their broad shoulders, safe and steady. The elephant raised her trunk in greeting, and the lion gave a slow nod of respect. The bears lay down among the animals, curling their huge bodies into soft, warm shapes. They were like living mountains of snow, but instead of cold, they radiated comfort. One of the bears lowered its head, letting the mice nestle against its fur. The other stretched out its paw, and the lion rested there, as though upon a golden throne of winter. The ringmaster whispered, "They are guardians of the dream circus. They keep watch so that nothing disturbs your rest." The bears rumbled softly, a sound deep and soothing, like the earth itself breathing. The animals felt safer than ever, wrapped in the embrace of gentle giants, sinking further into slumber. Snowflake bareface snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The icicle chimes. From the top of the circus tent, long icicles began to grow, glittering in the moonlight. At first, they were still and silent. But soon, a soft breeze drifted through the air, and the icicles began to sing. Each one rang with a different note, high and tinkling like tiny bells, or deep and smooth like faraway drums. Together, they made a melody more delicate than any orchestra. The mice listened with wide eyes, swaying gently as if dancing to the music. The owls fluffed their feathers and tilted their heads, echoing soft hoots that blended with the chimes. The elephant lifted her ears high, catching every sound, while the lion lay on his side, purring quietly as the music vibrated through his mane. The ringmaster smiled softly. "These chimes are the voices of winter," he whispered. "They remind us that silence can sing, and stillness can sparkle." The wind blew gently, never too strong, letting the icicles play their lullaby. The notes drifted like snowflakes, light and fleeting, settling over the animals like dreams in sound. One by one, their eyes fluttered shut, carried deeper by the music of ice. Snowflake bell crescent moon sparkles. The sleeping carousel horses. The carousel, which once glowed with silver and gold, now slowed to a stop. Its magical horses, shimmering shapes of light and snow, stood quietly, their manes flowing like frozen waterfalls. One by one, the horses began to lower their heads, as though even they had grown sleepy. Their jeweled saddles no longer sparkled brightly but glowed faintly, like embers before rest. The mice climbed onto the smallest horse, curling up on its back. The owls perched on the tallest horse's mane, tucking their wings in softly. The elephant rested her trunk across a great, gentle horse made of clouds, while the lion lay down beside a golden steed, purring as its mane dimmed into twilight. The ringmaster placed a hand upon the carousel's pole. "Even the horses of dreams must rest," he whispered. "When they sleep, they carry us further into peace." Slowly, the carousel dimmed, its lights fading into the soft glow of the snowy tent. The horses seemed to breathe, their stillness calming the entire circus. With the magical steeds at rest, the animals felt a deep hush settle around them, pulling them further into the quietest part of night. Snowflake carousel horse crescent moon sparkles. The closing curtains of snow. As the dream circus grew quieter than ever, the tent itself began to change. From high above, soft curtains of snow drifted down, folding slowly like velvet drapes. They did not fall fast or heavy, but floated gently, wrapping the circus in layers of white stillness. The mice nestled deeper beneath the snowy folds, squeaking softly before drifting off. The owls tucked their heads beneath their wings, the snowy curtains muffling every sound. The elephant curled herself into a round shape, the snow covering her like a glowing quilt. The lion stretched out proudly, but even he yawned and allowed the curtains of snow to cover his golden mane. The ringmaster stood in the center, raising his arms as though conducting the final act. "The circus closes not with applause," he whispered, "but with rest. Tonight, the snow is our curtain, and sleep is our finale." The falling snow shimmered with starlight, folding the animals into the deepest dream. The tent became hushed, glowing faintly like a lantern in the distance, barely visible through the drifting white. And with the snowy curtains closed, the circus was ready for its final silence. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles. The final dream. The circus was silent now, wrapped in snow, lanterns dimmed, and music faded. Every creature had drifted into the gentlest of slumbers. Only the stars above seemed awake, watching kindly from the velvet sky. The mice dreamed of warm fields where flowers bloomed in colors brighter than rainbows. The owls dreamed of skies endless and wide, where their wings carried them beyond the horizon. The elephant dreamed of rivers of light, where she could splash and play without end. The lion dreamed of golden meadows, where the sun never burned too hot and every breeze was soft. The ringmaster stood at the center, his hat lowered, his voice softer than a sigh. "The circus has ended," he murmured, "but dreams will carry it on." He stepped back into the shadows, becoming part of the night itself. Overhead, the stars leaned closer, as if to kiss the tent goodnight. The snow curled tighter around the animals, cradling them in warmth. And then, with a final shimmer, the dream circus dissolved into silence, leaving behind only peace, stillness, and the promise that in every winter's night, magic still lingers. The circus slept, and so did the world. Snowflake crescent moon sparkles.